Like the US, you can get more places songs. One of the people they have like UK or different countries, a lot of immigrants. They have the
So it's like really subtle now. It's like subtle like because and gets transported king and no, this is Yoga.
茶碗蒸しですね。
The whole thing is
当たりだしそう。マダイがお塩で召し上がってください。ね、カンパチですね。お塩ついてるんでわさびつけて。
次はタコがいきますね。Yes, octopus, fresh and boiled. No salt, no wasabi. You can switch. Octopus. Fresh and boiled. 味ついてる。No salt, no wasabi.
There was this cafe in the Amsterdam airport where I waited out for a tip. It was that horrible.
so at least in Europe they have 20%. In America you can do like 20% the cheese.
タコが2種類いきます。こっちが生のタコ、水タコ。で、こっちは煮たタコですね。ボイルドオクトパス。で、どちらもそのままお召し上がりください。味付いてます。
不看了，我他妈。 对，但是最有特点，他们很多偏向于偏出来的，它这个有占优势，所以毛之后比它其他皮儿地太多，就不合更不合。你知道毛子这帮人都是。
白エビですね。白エビの昆布締め。お醤油ついてるのでそのままお召し上がりください。
It's bigger in Japan. They have a full league and everything. It's huge in Japan. So they have a full league. They have like proper like their cards baseball. They have lots of Japanese caps, baseball caps. Well, that's Pinchas bat. Pinchas and the dot is not the it looks like a shrimp. It's I think it's the Japanese shrimp. It's the mantis shrimp or something.
しますでどっちも炙ったものですね。炙りの炙った平貝で、あとこっちがシャコ、で、これそのまま味付いてます。シャコはそのままです。わさびも塩もつけなくていいです。で、なんだっけ、平貝、上に海苔の佃煮を置いてるんで、そちらと一緒に食べてください。
I'm breaking it. It's a big day. It is Christmas. also learning about she gets
あん肝と蒸しアールでございます。アワビはそのまま召し上がってください。あん肝が1切れ目がわさびつけていただいて、2切れ目が下のきゅうりと揚げと一緒にくるっと包んで召し上がってください。
先お願い。あ、こっちだ。
マスの助の最強焼きですね。
Not like in a bad way, but like I have, I was getting like,
That's the good
yeah, so I cannot do like 吃的比例是更简单的，不买少吃猪肉，对，就是炸的大的，而且这个其实他出的宿舍，他出的宿舍挺强的，所以那是可以宿舍基本上
アオリイカですね。
あれ、金子さんお帰り。
它的吞的也是很有名的，对，它的吞手是开这个。Where are you going later?
我现在小手臂练成熟度有点下降，我有点
就我们一直给他传的就是而且因为那个我也不是太多的意思，更别提。
いや、味です。
So we are going to a restaurant on the 7th.
但我跟你的收费是不一样的。你以为我们的收入是你不是那不是 automatic trading，但是。
你没有看到我那个截图啊？我那上面唯两个空的，一个是 PLT， 另外一个是2刀。
確かにレンジャー
就是3个小时 technology， 就是 multiple 比他其他 peers 厉害多，就不合更不合。That's why I won.
Quick baby. It was like sushi is actually raw and something from the West.
Well, whenever you want to go to the Matsui Batuta one, let me know. I'll get your reservation and I'll take care of it. So like whenever you go with a friend or whatever it is, like just I'll take care of all the bills.
No.
I mean, those are the two like famous Italian restaurants. Yeah.
小肌ですね。
And it's about the Armenian
This used to be his restaurant. He moved to right across our place. Both based on the
Oh, the monkfish, yeah, it's actually the same spot. Here? Yeah, because his master has another restaurant in Libya, and then their monkfish liver is actually pretty famous. So I think it's the same style.
因为我感觉，因为那家里不是是够的。那为什么他吃过？那就更看得吃了啊！既然高大还在开发嘛，我现在微信有在，对，微信有在，但还是晃那个。
对对，他们也是分享他的。
但是我现在消化烂到没办法吃猪肉，我记得好像他这个太阳做便捷饭啊，这个太阳做便捷，但是我
London is pretty okay. Really, because they have a Chinese open restaurant there, so it's okay.
Yeah, I know.
You can go the way.
Well, I don't know. It feels like
Oh,
you don't really take it seriously. No. It's a girly thing. Well, I don't know. It feels like you don't really take it seriously. No. It's just a girly thing.
Taste and like gracious and such. Those two beer is made in spice bag.
确实也可以去想想看这种
What is the best piece of sushi you know?
这块还是美图比较好。
我看
Oh, there it is.
It's actually from Beijing.
What?
Okay.
I was like, why? There's always just one retail. 这些企业没有讲，把钱放在亏本企业。做多他们把账改成比如说举例子，8个50是正，然后另外一个正
That's insanely sweet. Cool.
I don't know what it's called.
这是crazy，这些企业我跟你讲，纯算傻逼，把钱放在亏本企业里面。
Very sweet.
就比如举例子啊，那如果你把钱放亏损企业，这个钱为什么那么长？是做多了，把账改成，如果举例子拿50是正，然后另外一个
Fake colors. It doesn't hurt that bad.
这个是
But I do have a high pain tolerance.
努力直接1万多，反正那个
非常
我把这个上面
是汇率。
They're tasty.
The rice is all over the place.
Yeah, obviously if the rice is good.
但是经理我也是手上没有一家
That's how I was introduced.
寿司还是
The first time I introduced American Taiwanese. Like everything, it's just like. But no, I could never get it.
You could not or you
A 公司 I just feel that when I'm 18, A 公司挣了1000万 when I have when I still have tattoos on my arm, either I get a今年的那个
You would like,
我有
yeah, I understand. A lot of people say that.
I know, like just
Actually, I would. I've never seen a monkey with that.
我觉得它的布丁还蛮好吃的。
Oh, like
而且你要明白一个事情，RS in the US is one of the biggest, most horrifying organization in this world.
它就是
That's what we will get to, you know, like instead of like those.
I won't get it from you, but I will get it from my friend.
Get it from you,
Wait,
I can find you.
也是生
What's this?
因为它
what makes you happy is making others happy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fair
so-
enough. No, no.
When is your birthday?
12 July.
July,
マグロ巻きですね。トゥナローメン。
two people that were born.
为什么不直接就是为什么要
Has another restaurant in India, and then their own fish flavor is actually pretty famous. So I think it's the same style.
那为什么不是那就更 encourage 了。既然公单位还在开发，
我他们是因为他还是矿，
对对，他们也是从小他的。
不他
这一次决定我要开始。我听了另外一家
对，那个1000块钱的水家。
だけどやっぱり食べる食事
所以就是借钱然后
アメリカ
日本好像是不接受。
offshore money, and then just get the USD. I think it's a few thousand yen. おはようございます。お疲れ様。
オリオリ
好，你可以因此而学习。
Thank you, Sushi Shunsuke, for the incredible meal. Now it's time for my rating to see if it's worth the travel. When it comes to the appetizers, I thoroughly enjoyed most of them, particularly the fresh octopus and ankimo. Moving on to the nigiri, the rice to seafood ratio was spot on, and it's clear that Chef Shunsuke carefully selects top quality ingredients from the seafood to the seaweed. Each piece of seafood was perfectly prepared, and I appreciate the attention to detail in serving the nigiri with varying temperature rice based on the seafood. As a fan of nigiri, I wish there were more than just 10 out of 22 courses focused on nigiri. Although I was wowed by many of the nigiri options, such as the kuromutsu and kohara, I left craving for more nigiri. So I rate the food a 4.7 out of 5. For lunchtime, it is more accessible to the public, especially for tourists, so it tends to attract a chattier crowd. Due to the corner-shaped counter seating, I faced the back of the chef for most of the time, which was a bit disappointing as I couldn't fully appreciate his craftsmanship or converse with him. Nonetheless, I was pleased that Chef Shunsuke took the time to chat with me at the end of the meal, so I rate the service a 4.5. The restaurant is located in Asagaya, a residential area of Tokyo. After lunch, it's worth taking a brief 4-minute walk to explore the Asagaya Pearl Center, where locals gather around small food stalls and shops. However, apart from that, there is little else to do in the area. And since it's quite far away from the city center, with a 40-minute metro ride, I can only give it a 3.5 for the location. The lunch omakase is 39,500 yen, which is $260, making it a 3.4 for the price. The overall rating is 4, which makes it worth international travel. So it doesn't matter where you're traveling from, Sushi Shunsuke is worth the visit. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.